Hi, I'm EG Arcadia Chanda from BSCS second year. This is my uh, bingo ticket generator. So first I'll demonstrate the program. It generates four tickets, and they are all different tickets. And then after they are generated, they are then saved to a text file, which is located in the project folder. If we open it, it saves 4 tickets, which is the same from here. So the code I was able to, it's like 125 lines. So we start on our main method. First, we make a 3D array. This is so we could store this 5 for the bingo ticket, which has 5 rows, 5 columns, and then 4 because there's gonna be 4 tickets. So first is we generate 4 cards. For that, we're gonna have an array that would loop, or yeah, that would loop 4 times. No, no, not an array. We're gonna have a for loop, which would loop 4 times. And then we're gonna make a 2D array for a single ticket card. And that's where we will store our card that we generate through the generate bingo card method. So let's go to the method. Here we create an array which has 5 rows, 5 columns for the ticket. And then we're gonna make a random generator from Java util. So for loop, which would cycle through all of the array entries. So 5. And then we're gonna create a hash set so that we could store the generated numbers in here, and then we'd use that to check if there are duplicates or not. After that, we're gonna generate the number, which would be in a for loop. This block of code here. First is we specify the minimum, because for each column there's gonna be like a minimum. For B, there's a minimum of 1, and then a maximum of 15. For I, it'll be a minimum of 16, and then a maximum of 29 or 30. One of those. And then so on. It intervals by 15 basically for each column. So for the minimum, we just get the J, which is our column number, multiply it by 15 plus 1. So for the first column, which is B, it'll be 0 times 15, which is 0 plus 1. So 1 would be our minimum here. And then minimum plus 14 would be our maximum. So let's say it's the I column. The J would be equal to 1 in here. So J 1 times 15 would be 15 plus 1. It's 16. So it's a 16 minimum here, which should be correct. And then max is just minimum plus 14. So it is 30. And then an integer number, which is what we would use to generate, and then compare that, which, yeah, it is here that we use the integer num. So in a do while loop, the num, we would set it to a random integer of this value plus minimum, and then it'll generate. After it generates, it's gonna check if number is equals to one of the numbers on the hash set. So let's say we generate like the third number would be, how do I explain this? Basically, let's say the hash set contains 11 and 14, and then we're now on our third number. This one would keep generating until it finds a unique number that isn't in the hash set. So if this generates 11, it'll just restart. It's gonna generate again. If this generates 14, it'll restart again since it already contains it here, until it finds a number that is unique. And then to make sure, we also add that number on our hash set, the generated number, in this part. I hope that makes sense or something, I don't know. And then here we just add the generated number to our 2D array in here. If I could highlight it. And then after that, we're gonna set the third row and column into 0, which should be this one, which just indicates if it's a 0, it is a free slot in my code. Also, there's no way the card would generate 0 because we've set the minimum to be at least 1. So it'll only be the middle that would have the 0. And then we just return the card here. And then after that, we set the 3D array I, which represents which ticket we are on. We just set that to the generated card, and then we print it so it would show up here. This is, we don't need to print it necessarily since it would still save on the file, but I think it's nice to print it still so we would know. Anyway, after that for loop, we would now save the card to a file, which is handled by the save to file method. Oh, also I forgot, this is also a method, the print bingo card. I should also explain it. So the print bingo card, just have the header in here, which is these 3 lines as print lines, and then after that we have a for loop, which would cycle through our 2D array. So here it cycles, and then this one we should start it with the horizontal line, which should be this one, the one I'm highlighting on the output thingy. And then we're just gonna check first if it is equal to 0. because that would be a free slot. And then if it isn't, we're just gonna print format in 3, which means it should be like 3 units or spacing, and then it specifies it's an integer, which this is an integer, so it should print out this value as an integer, which basically this print format just makes sure they are all the same spacing, because if we don't, the 14 and the 8 here would misalign them, because this is a 1-digit number and all the others are 2 digits. Anyway, after that we print out the separator here, and then it just loops again until all of the values are printed out, and then we just have a single print line here, so it will separate the tickets. After printing, we now save it to file with this method, save to file. Here it is mostly similar to our print bingo card, but we have a file writer which is responsible for writing stuff in our text file. So we start with another for loop which should cycle through our array. Again, we start with our header, and then for loop for the cards number, and then we have an if statement again, just like here. If it's equal to 0, it's a free slot, else we just print out the number with the proper formatting. But of course, instead of like sys out print line, we use writer.write, and then we just use, well, after this for loop, we just use this to separate the cards, like in here with the separation, and then it will just loop again until all the cards are printed. After that, we close the writer, and then I just put it in a try catch, so in case of exceptions. But that concludes my program. I'll just run it again. So here clearly it has different values now that we generated. Can update it there. Okay, thank you, that's all.